Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the Sega Does podcast. I'm Sam the Pixel Dude. Join with me, virtually to my left, as always, we have the Dylan D. How we doing, Dylan?
Oh, good. You caught me mid-yawn.
Did I?
That's not a good thing. Yawns don't have any sort of don't understand podcast protocol.
No, damn yawns. Neither do sniffles.
This is true.
Yeah, true. Right. Okay, so today, be a little bit of a shotgun episode as we're getting on to bigger and better things, as you will hear in episode 34. Today we are talking about Wanted, Wonder Boy 3, and World Games, which is possibly the worst game I've ever played. So,
yes. Yes, it is.
How you can go from the greatness of California games to that, I don't know. Beyond me. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the comments from episode 32. We have a nice comment from Josh Dykeman. Says, another fun episode, guys. I love your rabbit trails and digressions. They're always entertaining. Josh, there's going to be a few of those in the next podcast. I can promise you that. We've got Sean697 here. I believe the UK got much more Sega Master System games than the US. While it died here in 91, it refused to succumb to the Mega Drive in the UK for quite a while. I think
that's true.
It is very true.
We were just talking about that.
It was.
Yeah.
How funny. It's almost as if this whole thing is planned, isn't it?
Yeah,
indeed. And also underneath the comments of episode 32, Sean, the greatness of Sean697, gives us his top 10 Sega Master System games from 85 to 89. Am I right?
I believe so, yes.
Which will be the discussion of episode 34, but we're in episode 33. So, Dylan, let's get on to Wanted. This is a light gun game.
It is.
It's a rather good light gun
game. Well,
did we not agree?
No, not really.
Oh, great. Okay. Come on, Dylan. What do we think of the Wanted?
Well, it is a light gun game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Western, and it's just a little too difficult for me. I don't get on well with light gun games,
right,
as we've discussed in the past. Rambo was just I couldn't do that one either. It's the same type of thing. It's just they're just too hard for me. Like, I grew up with the Zapper, and a lot of those games were very not as action packed, I guess.
They were more forgiving, I think. Also in the
right
in like the hitboxes were a lot more forgiving.
Right. The light phaser, man, is you got to be precise. So.
Oh yeah.
So I'll give it that. Like, that's what I'll give it, is that it's a more in-depth shooter, but still not my favorite. So
it looks rather good.
Looks okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the stages where you're just walking across, like where you're walking, where you're not riding a horse, those look good. I wasn't a fan of the scrolling in the riding sections personally. No.
I quite enjoyed those. It's I actually played this game with the light gun. What's it called again? Phaser? No.
The light phaser?
It is the light phaser, sorry. I was thinking Menacer in my head. That's the Mega Drive one. Shoulder mounted cannon. Menacer. Yeah, this I played this on my good old PAL TV. This man, you do have to be accurate. I was amazed how accurate you could be with like 87 technology. It's you have to be pinpoint. The enemies on screen are small. I won't say they're tiny, but they are small. They stand in doorways and windows a lot, and very hard to hit. What have we got in the comments here? We've got Sean. I think it was pretty fresh for 86, but by the time 89 it was showing its age. I think he's on about what is he on about here?
The Master System.
Master System, what, light guns or?
Oh, we were talking about the Master System.
Oh, I've missed a load. That's very clever, Sam. Well done. Let's start at the beginning. Here we go. Kurt 13. When I was a kid... Lovely start. When I was a kid, this place we'd go to and eat had a Sunset Riders arcade machine. They had a Mortal Kombat machine as well, and it was always broken, so my brother and I would waste my parents' quarters playing Cowboys. That was nothing to do with the game, but this game kind of reminded me of how much I wanted to play Sunset Riders again. Well, the colour scheme is very Sunset Riders, I'll give it that.
Yeah, Sunset Riders is a better game, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the Master System is like an old girlfriend. You remember all the great times you had with her, but then, the more you think about it, and the more you recall, the more you realise it was never that great in the first place, and you realise why you moved on.
Yeah. Though I don't.
That's brilliant.
I don't have that sort of past experience with the Master System.
No.
I imagine.
Did you actually play much Master System as like a child?
None. None.
What, 0?
0. No experience.
Really?
Really. I had a Genesis, and I owned Sonic 1, and that was it.
Wow. So
but I played other games for the Genesis, but I mean, the majority of, that's why I'm doing this blog, man, because like the majority of the games just passed me by because I was a Nintendo kid. So
interesting.
Yep.
So you gave it a D, which personally I think was a little bit low, because I thought it's quite pretty. But there we go. So that was Wanted. Now next, this game we're going to talk about rather quick today. Not on purpose. Well, yes, on purpose, but not because we're like kind of shuffle it out of the way. Because I think it's going to come up quite heavily in our next podcast.
Yes.
Which, if you haven't guessed already, we are recording directly after this one, but you may not hear it directly after this one, and that is Wonder Boy 3: The Drag.
One of the best games on the Master System. Spoilers.
Yeah. It's going to be ranking quite highly in our top 10 85 to 89 games, I'm pretty sure. Maybe at the top, we just don't know yet. But this is obviously the sequel to Wonder Boy 2. It's Wonder Boy in Monsterland, is that right? Am I thinking right? That is right, isn't it? Yes.
That is correct.
That is correct. I just like to be sure on these things, because people can leave their opinions on the internet, and they like to know, let you know what's happened. And so the thing that blew me away in this game, this is like, if this is like some of the things this game does, like a sequel to a game did now, people would go, oh, that's amazing, that's brilliant. But this thing was doing it in '89, and what I mean by that is specifically the beginning. At the beginning of this game, you play the end of the last game.
Right.
With obviously a bit nicer graphics and stuff like that. And just the fact that it's... Back in the day when this came out, you didn't need to do that. It wasn't a standard, it wasn't a thing even thought of, it wasn't expected, it wasn't needed. But they did it.
Ambitious.
Ambitious. Yeah. And also it shows like a love for the series by the creators, if you know what I mean. They cared about their product, they cared about the lineage, they cared about the people that bought the last game enough to do this. And that really, really impressed me for a start. I was playing, I was like, this is the end of the... Yes, it is. There's the dragon. And it was it was really nice. I played them back to back, which helped as well. I don't know if I'd have realised that if I'd given it like 2 years. I don't know, maybe not. But then the game kind of changes a little bit compared to the previous one, doesn't it, Dylan?
It does. After you get through that initial beginning sequence, you're robbed of all your powers and you are turned into a lizard man. And he's not weak per se, but he's not really strong either.
No.
Plus you're a lizard and you were like a majestic warrior prior to that. So or a dinosaur thing. That's anyway, so
what did you just say?
Yeah.
Dinosaur.
That's it. That's what I just said.
Dinosaur.
And so you turn into a lizard man for a while, and you explore the areas you can explore as this particular creature, and you move forward and you kill enemies. It's very straightforward platforming at this point. You collect gold because you're going to need to buy lots of armor and lots of different swords for different purposes. So any amount of gold you can get it. But eventually you transform into different creatures as you go along and as you defeat bosses. Each boss you defeat, afterwards you get turned into another creature by this blue spirit that chases you around the room.
Yeah.
And so somebody was saying, I'm pretty sure it was Sean, was saying this is the closest thing there was to like a Metroidvania, in the late 80s.
Well, it's funny you bring it up. It's like at the beginning of, I'm pretty sure it was Prime. Which is the Metroid where you start off with everything and then you lose? Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of Symphony of the Night.
Right.
And when I was playing this, all I kept thinking was, wow, everyone gives Symphony of the Night so much praise, but people who actually know it, like, ripped off Metroid, it ripped off all these other games, and now it's ripping off Wonder Boy 3. The people in the know, like, Symphony of the Night is a great game, but in some ways not a very original game. It kind of grabbed all these ideas and rammed them together.
I think that's what it did really well, and it kind of brought attention to some of these ideas.
Yeah.
Because, Super Metroid, even in America, it was more successful, but it wasn't on the level of Zelda or Mario.
No.
And so, kind of stayed hidden. But Symphony of the Night, from what I understand, was a fairly decent success everywhere. But Wonder Boy 3, what really came to my mind while we've been talking about it is how much it feels. Well, first of all, it's the first Wonder Boy to not have an arcade this isn't an arcade port at all. No. This is a brand new game made for the Master System, and it feels like a game made for a console, which most Master System games do not feel like whatsoever, because they're not. They're arcade ports.
It's funny you say that, because the first comment we have is from a guy called Pig in an Eye Patch wearing a banana smoking a cigarette. Says, right. Isn't there an arcade version of this game? Normally you compare them to the arcade versions. So,
there is a Wonder Boy 3 for the arcade, but it is a completely different game. It's called Wonder Boy 3 Monsters Lair. So
that's right. Yeah. Brett Brown says, this series has super confusing numbering, technically two separate overlapping series, Wonder Boy and Monster World. There are two Wonder Boy 3s, but don't worry, the next one was Wonder Boy 5.
That's true.
Yeah, if you can figure that out in your head, that's true. Sean697, I'm going to be honest, I never owned this game. Sean, the Sega Master System guru. That is Sean697, I don't know. When I sold my Sega Master System to my friend, then I brought a Genesis. Very sensible. This is one of the first games he brought when it came out. I went over and played it with him at his house. The only time, really, I kind of regret selling my Sega Master System. This game was just amazing. I wish I had it all to myself. That's kind of I don't think you'd have been that good actually holding the Sega Genesis in your hand and looking at this and going, ugh. But I suppose if you'd had your Master System for like 3 or 4 years and just got rid of it and then this came out, it must have been a little bit of a kick in the teeth, because it genuinely was groundbreaking. It's very strange. It's one of those very groundbreaking games that never gets the credit it deserves. Everyone talks about the Zeldas and the Metroids, and you gotta remember this is 89, and this is doing Super Nintendo like 94-esque levels of like complex gaming and leveling up and items and world exploring. And yes, the graphics aren't as good as the Super Nintendo, but you know what? If you stuck a 16-bit soundtrack with this, I don't think you could stretch your imagination enough to say that this was a damn fine-looking game, nearly 16-bit-esque.
Well, and I don't blame Sean for selling his Master System. In 1989, there were hardly any good games for it whatsoever.
No.
It was getting a little. How's that saying go? A little long in the teeth.
Long in the tooth.
Long in the tooth.
Very
okay.
British. Well done, sir. Have a pint.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So, but the only thing I will say, and why people were like, "Why'd you give this an A-? If this is an A-, I don't even know." I do find the platforming a little tedious at times.
Yeah, you either moves too fast or the platforms were too small. You know, they just didn't quite have that perfect platform size.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the sections are they go on a bit too long, I think.
Yeah.
They just kind of, it's like, okay, it's the same thing over and over. But all the ideas mixed together, it's a great game. It's a very groundbreaking, like we've been saying. Yes, we like it.
We like it a lot. We're going to probably talk about it a lot more in our next show. Now, our last game today, going from one of the best to possibly one of the worst games I've ever played. Now, we joke a lot of the times on Sega Does saying, "Oh, I couldn't get the guy to jump over the thing, or I couldn't get him to do this or whatsoever." I am not kidding in saying I couldn't get this game to do anything it advertised. And that is World Games.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Because so many people defend these games, and maybe not World Games, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But the series of different games, California, World, Winter Games, so many, it has defenders, and I don't understand because they're not intuitive controls. They're terrible controls.
One of the biggest issues I have with this game, and probably this series actually, is the value for money proposition. It's putting forth.
Right.
It's right. Okay. These were full price games. Okay. These weren't like your budget titles. These were full price games, and what it's giving you is 4 mini games. Now these mini games are even classed as mini games by 1989 standards, let alone nowadays. And what is it? There's the log rolling, or what do you call that when you stand on a log and what's it called?
Oh, log riding.
Log riding, like
lumberjacking.
I don't know. Is that something different?
Lumberjacking. Oh, log rolling.
Log rolling.
Log rolling.
That's what I meant. Yeah. No, that's caber toss is what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I know what that is. I live near that country. Then we've got the log rolling. Is that what it's actually called?
It's what it's actually called.
Okay, yeah. Log rolling. Sounds fun. And we also have bull riding. Bull riding.
Yeah.
That's it. I was just thinking what the hell that ugly animal was in the picture there. It's a bull. Then we have caber toss.
Could you get that to do anything?
I got the caber toss to toss.
I did.
To be fair, I got it to work. That one.
Wow.
I was going to take a video of it. I was that impressed with myself. And
yeah.
then there's the strangest game.
The barrel jumping?
The barrel jumping. So what you have to do in this is you have to select how many barrels you wish to jump and then attempt to jump them. I never once jumped over a single barrel.
No. That's not true. I jumped over 3 and couldn't land properly, so I fell. Yeah.
You gave this game a D+?
Yeah.
Wow, that's high. Wow.
I actually could control the log rolling and the bull riding.
Could you?
Yeah.
I could do the caber toss, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We have 1 foot on World Games from Kurt 13. I feel this would be a good one for one of those awful YouTube video game reviewers, because you could totally start out with World Games or like Turd Games and go from there. Yes, it's. We will see in the next episode. I'm going to be defending one of these games, but it's not going to be this one. It's why would Mexico ever take part in caber tossing?
Well, the US missed this one. This is a Europe only release.
Apparently, though, you took part.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, bull riding was in there, but you want to know something else that's bad about this particular version?
Please tell me.
Is that the NES version had 8 mini games.
There's an NES. See, I'm sorry, I'm a bit. Obviously, people know I'm a little bit. What's the word?
Sega centric?
No.
Sega. I don't know.
Sega. What's the word when you don't know a lot about something? Stupid.
Well,
I'm a little bit.
I want to say clueless.
Clueless. There we go. Clueless
yeah.
on the NES library, as it really wasn't a thing over here. And I don't like pirating games because I'm a nice boy, and so. Every time you come out, oh yeah, that came out on the NES. I'm always like, really? Wow. And it seems like a lot of these world games, California games, winter games, all these things seem to have appeared on the NES as well.
They did, and they're just as bad there. Just as bad.
I don't know.
If not worse. Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you for this listening to this very short episode of the Sega's podcast, episode 33, but we had to tidy this game up. So that now brings us to the end of 1989.
Yes.
So we have now talked about every Sega Master System / Mark III game from 85 to 89.
It's a lot of games.
That was hard work.
And as I was going through the games list today, I was stunned by how many I couldn't really remember.
Yeah. It's funny. It's not like when we did the SG-1000. The SG-1000, they were... you could probably name any SG-1000 game. Like, oh yeah, I know that. I know how it played. I can remember it.
They're very memorable, even though they're terrible.
Yeah, but these mediocrity by the bucket load is what we've got.
And they all have names like Action Fighter, and it's like, how am I gonna remember what that was even about? What is an action fighter? Fighting action? What? Yeah.
No. Anyway, so next time we will be talking about the top 10 Sega Master System Mark III games from 85 to 89. Until next time, Sega.
Sega.